Hello friends, my name is Benson Abraham, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Kamla Nehru Mahavidyalaya, Nagpur. Today we will discuss on the topic DNA structure A, B and Z form, which is taken from RTMNU MSc Botany Sem 2 syllabus, Paper 3, Cell and Molecular Biology, Part 1. So let us discuss about DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid or DNA is a molecule that contains the instruction an organism needs to develop, live and reproduce. These instructions are found inside every cell and are passed down from parents to their children. With the discovery that DNA is the prime genetic molecule carrying all the hereditary information within chromosomes, immediately focused attention on its structure. The structure of DNA was elucidated by Watson and Crick in 1953. So now let us take a look on DNA structure. DNA is composed of polynucleotide chain. That is, it composed of two polynucleotide chain which are twisted to form a double helix. So these are the two polynucleotide chains which are twisted around an axis to form a double helix. The helical backbone is made up of alternating sugar and phosphate residues. This means this helix is being surrounded by sugar phosphate backbone. This is the sugar phosphate backbone of both these nucleotides. Whereas the core consists of bases which can be accessed from major and minor groups. Whereas this core region is composed of bases and these bases can be accessed from major and minor groups, the details about which we will see later in the class. Next, the nucleotide, the fundamental building blocks of DNA. Now these polynucleotides are made up of nucleotide. Now let us understand what do you mean by nucleotide. Nucleotide consists of a sugar, that is 2-deoxyribose. That is, this is the sugar group having a 2-deoxy. We call it 2-deoxy because in the second carbon there is an absence of OH group, that is one oxygen is absent. Hence we call it as 2-deoxyribose sugar. Then it has a base with C1- with glycosidic bond. So you have to remember these notations, like whenever you number the carbon atoms of the sugar, we always use a prime symbol, and when we write about the number of elements in this nitrogenous bases, we simply write 1 with we simply give the numbering 1 2 3 without adding any prime to it. Okay, so in the C1 position there is a glycosidic bond with the nitrogenous base, and in the C5 position there is a phosphoester bond. This bond between a phosphoric acid and CH2OH that together combine to form a phosphoester bond. These are the bases. Okay, the bases are grouped into two categories, that is purines and pyrimidines. Purines have 2, adenine and guanine, and pyrimidines have 3, cytosine, uracil and thymine, in which uracil is present only in the RNA and not in DNA, and thymine is present in DNA but not in RNA. Okay, so these are interreplaceable in DNA and RNA. Now let us take a look on some of the terminologies of this nucleic acids. First is nucleoside. So what do you mean by nucleoside? Nucleoside means that when the ribose sugar combines with base, they together form the nucleoside. So what do we call a nucleotide? Nucleotide means when a nucleoside, that is sugar and base, they combine with the phosphate group it can be one or more. If it is one, then it's monophosphate, diphosphate or triphosphate. So it depends upon the addition of nucleoside and phosphate to it to form the nucleotide. Now these nucleotides, they combine with each other to form a long chain. Such chain is called as polynucleotide. The chain formed when the 3'OH of one nucleotide reacts with 5'phosphate of another nucleotide joined by phosphodiester bond. So DNA is made up of two polynucleotide chains. The phosphodiester linkage creating the repeating sugar is the phosphate backbone of the nucleotide chain, which is the regular feature of the DNA helix. Now, when you see the DNA, you can feel that there are certain features that are regular and certain things that are irregular. Regular feature includes the backbone, that is made up of sugar and phosphate, which is alternating with each other. This backbone is constant. There is no change in the backbone in the entire DNA. Whereas the bases along the polynucleotide chain varies. This is the irregular feature of the DNA, and this irregularity of the bases of the base sequence of the nucleotides is the basis of the storage of genetic information. Now let us take a look on some important aspects of DNA helix. First is polarity. Now, as the polynucleotide chain forms, it develops a polarity. Okay, that is, it is having a free 5' group and a free 3' group. This is because this 5' end of one nucleotide combines with 3' on the other nucleotide to form the phosphodiester bond. This is called as diester because there is a ester bond here, and also there is a ester bond here. Hence, it is called as a phosphodiester bond. Now, this phosphodiester bond, where in each place results in the polarity. Polarity how? Because in the last nucleotide, it will have either a 5' group or a 3' group that is free. This causes the polarity of polynucleotide chain. Next is anti-parallel orientation. Now, as you can see that in one strand there is a 3' group present over here, whereas in another strand exactly opposite to it there is a 5' group present over here. This causes the anti-parallel orientation in this polynucleotide chain in the DNA double helix. Now, one of the major cause of this anti-parallel orientation is that the two chains interact with each other by hydrogen bonding between the two bases of the double helix. Okay, and also the base pairing has a complementarity, that is A always pairs with T and G always pairs with C, and it is because of this complementarity there is an anti-parallel orientation here. As you can see that this hydrogen base pair occurs only when the two bases are oriented in an anti-parallel fashion. If they were in the same fashion, this hydrogen bond would not have formed. Hence, for the formation of hydrogen bond, the two strands must be anti-parallel in orientation. Next is periodicity. Each base is displaced from the previous ones by approximately 36 degrees. Thus, in an X-ray crystal of DNA, it takes 10 stacks of base pair to complete one turn, that is 360 degrees. This is helical periodicity, that is 10 base pairs per turn, but in some books it is referred to as 10.5 base pairs per turn. Another important aspect is the geometry of base pairing. Now, when you see these two base pairs, you can easily see that they both have almost a similar geometry. That means even if you replace this base pair with this base pair, the geometry between this sugar backbone will not change. This is the geometry of base pairing, and one of its implication is that whenever there is a mismatch or an error in the DNA that can be detected and can be and the cell can undergo a repair mechanism to repair that incorrect base. Okay. Next is the grooves in the helix. So as we have discussed, there are two grooves that through which the bases can be assessed. These two grooves are the minor groove and the major groove. Now let us try to understand what do you mean by minor groove. The groove that is a form of depression that is formed by the wide angle of the base is known as major groove, and the groove that is formed by the narrow angle of the region of base space is known as minor groove. Now let us try to understand what do you mean by this major and minor grooves. Whenever you see a sugar backbone and this entire base pair, you can divide this into two groups. One is from this region to this region, this forms one angle, and the remaining angle is the another part. Okay, so you can see that from this region is accessible from one region, and this much region is accessible from other region of the DNA helix. So because of this, whenever a molecule, like for example a protein molecule, this can access the bases either from this direction or they can access the bases from this direction. Okay, so these are known as grooves. If a molecule is accessing from this region, we call it as a major groove. If a protein molecule is accessing from this region, we call it as a minor groove. Okay, these are the two sides of the DNA. Now, next important aspect is the stability of DNA. DNA is stabilized by various forces such as hydrogen bonds and base stacking. What is a hydrogen bond? Hydrogen bond takes place between A and T, that is adenine and thymine, which is having a double hydrogen bond between them, and guanine and cytosine, which is having a triple hydrogen bond between them. So that ensures the stability between the two strands of the DNA. Apart from this, there is one more force acting on it, that is the base stacking. Now in bases, there are certain regions which have pi orbitals in it. When the two pi orbitals of the adjacent bases, they come to a van der Waals force of attraction radii, there is a force of attraction developed on it, that is known as van der Waals force of attraction. So this van der Waals force of attraction also help in the stability of the DNA. Apart from this, there is also a hydrophobic effect. Now, then in bases there are many regions that are hydrophobic, and when they expel water, they attract each other more because they are hydrophobic in nature. As you may also know that like attracts like. That is, the hydrophobic regions of the bases attract each other and they expel water. So these are the three forces that stabilizes DNA. What are they? That is hydrogen bonding, base stacking. In base stacking there is two, that is pi-pi interaction, and then hydrophobic effect. Next we will look into the different forms of DNA, that is the A, B and Z form. In order to understand this, we have to understand a concept of X-ray crystallography. Now, in order to do X-ray crystallography, first of all you need to make a crystal of the molecule. Now, how do you make a crystal of a molecule? By altering the temperature, pH, concentration of biological molecules, concentration of crystallizing agent, and some additives. So these are the parameters for crystallizations. Once you crystallize a molecule, then you use a X-ray crystallography technique. Now, what is X-ray crystallography technique? Now, this molecule is being surrounded by a certain medium, and this medium is then cryo-looped. Okay, it is freezed, and it is in the form of a loop. And then you bombard X-ray through this cryo loop. Now, what will happen? Wherever the molecule is present, the X-ray will hit the molecule, and the molecule will scatter these X-ray particles. Now, the way in which it is scattered in this XYZ plane axis, they determine from where the scattering began, and from that we determine the structure of these various molecules. So this is the technique that was used for DNA also. Okay. So this is the X-ray crystallographic photograph of DNA helix, and it was taken by Rosalind Franklin, and this inspired the Watson and Crick very much to know that DNA was a double helix, and then it has bases are inside. So all these interpretations, this was because of this X-ray crystallographic structure diagram taken by Rosalind Franklin. Now let us begin our study with the B form of DNA. Now, B form of DNA was the first type that was crystallized. It was the Watson and Crick explained the B conformation of the DNA. Now, let us know how does we form B conformation. Now, when the crystallizing agent is an alkali metal, that is Na plus ions, and the relative humidity is more than 92%. That is when the DNA crystal is surrounded in a very aqueous medium, then it undergoes a B form of crystallization, that is B conformation. Okay, B DNA is regarded as a native form because its X-ray diffraction pattern resembles that of DNA in intact sperm, and B DNA is also known as the native form of DNA. Why we call it as the native form of DNA? It is simply because in the intact sperm cells of the some kind of a whale, so they did the same experiment. They took the sperm cell, they cryolyzed it, cryophysed it, and they did the X-ray diffraction pattern same as they did it with the B DNA. So the results were matching with each other. So we can say that the B DNA is the actual form of DNA that is present inside the cell. Now the major features of the DNA are all that we have discussed till now. That was for the Watson and Crick's model. So we will go through it very quickly because all these things have been already discussed. Okay, so it consists of two polynucleotide strands that wind around a common axis and a right-handed twist. So one major property of DNA, B DNA, is that it is a right-handed twist is there. Now, what is a right-handed twist? When you roll your fingers around the helical axis, helix, and if your thumb points towards the phi dash end of the strand of which you are noting down the of the helical structure, if your thumb points towards the phi dash direction, then that type of DNA is always a right-handed helix. If you do it with your left hand and the helical rise is matches with your left-handed thumb towards the phi dash end, then it is a left-handed helix. So our B DNA is a right-handed helix. Then the diameter of the double helix is approximately 20 angstroms. Orientation is antiparallel. Backbone is made up of sugar and phosphate. which is located at periphery. Core consists of bases and located inside. The planes of the bases are perpendicular to the axis. That is, if this is the axis, okay, and these are the helix, so the bases are perpendicular. If this is the axis, so bases are perpendicular. That is, it is perpendicular to the axis. Okay. Also, the base shows complementary base pairing due to hydrogen bond between them. That is, A hydrogen bonds with T and G hydrogen bonds with C. Next, the ideal BDNA has 10 base pairs per turn. That is, the helical twist is of 36 degree per base pairs. Base stacking thickness is 3.4 Armstrong. See, the base stacking thickness is approximately 3.4 Armstrong, and this 3.4 Armstrong is responsible for the pi to pi interaction. That is, the van der Waals radius of the attraction is because the distance between the two nucleotide is so less, that is 3.4 Armstrongs. This causes the van der Waals force of attraction. Okay, and therefore the pitch, that is the rise per turn, is approximately 34 Armstrongs. And also the geometry between AT and GC base pairs are similar. The grooves, the minor grooves formed by narrow angle region between glycosidic bond, that is approximately 120 degrees. That is the angle between the glycosidic bond of the sugar and the nitrogenous base. In the minor groove side, it is approximately 120 degrees, and in the major groove side, it is approximately 240 degrees. That causes one region of the DNA to be minor groove and the other region to be major groove. So as you can see in this diagram, this angle is approximately 120 degrees and this angle is 270 degrees. So appropriately, this is the major and minor groove region of the regions of the helix. Next is A form of DNA. A form is formed when there is a minute change in the DNA. In the BDNA, whenever you change the relative humidity of the BDNA and reduce it to approximately 75%, then the BDNA undergoes a reversible conformational change to ADNA. So you repeat that experiment that we for which we have done for BDNA, and when you reduce the humidity to 75% of the BDNA, then what happens? The BDNA undergoes a reversible conformational change to ADNA. Now let us take a look on the characters of ADNA. So ADNA is wider and flatter right-handed helix than BDNA. It has a wider diameter of about 26 Armstrongs. The base pair per turn is 11.6. That is more. There are more base pairs per turn, approximately 11.6 as compared to 10.5 in the BDNA. The pitch is same for both, that is 34 Armstrongs. Then there is the presence of axial hole. Now what happens is that due to this flattening and widening of the bases, there is an axial hole. We will see in the diagram, there is an axial hole formed. Then ADNA has a deeper major groove and a shallow minor groove. Now what happens is that because this region is going little bit deep, this region becomes shallow. Okay, so that's what it happens. That is, it has a deep major groove and a shallow minor groove. Now let us see where you can find this ADNA. ADNA is found in the various cleavage centers of topoisomerase 2. Whenever there is a DNA replication and the two strands separate, that region, that part which undergoes some kind of a stress due to the opening of the strands, that region forms the ADNA. Apart from this, in certain gram-positive bacteria, the DNA undergoes A conformation during sporulation. The spore-forming bacteria, in the spores, the bDNA is converted to aDNA. Now, there are certain small acid-soluble spore proteins known as SASP, which help in the conversion of bDNA to aDNA during sporulation. Now, what is the benefit of doing that? aDNA exhibit resistance to UV damage. You know what UV damage? UV damage causes pyrimidine dimers in the same strand. Now, when the strand becomes more wide, that dimer formation does not take place. Hence, it is protected from the UV damage by sporulation. Okay. So, these are the three forms of DNA. As you can see, there is a axial hole present in the aDNA. It is wider as compared to bDNA. Then the pitch of both is approximately same, that is 3.4 nanometer or 34 Armstrongs, whatever you may like to call. And this is the zDNA. So as you can see that the zDNA is different from the both A and B DNA. We will see its characters next. That is the Z form of DNA. Now it was discovered by Wank and Rich in sequences in which there were mostly repeats of C and G. Okay, so experimentally zDNA can be obtained at a high salt concentration, during which there is a dramatic change in the conformational form from right-handed helix to left-handed helix. Now, how can you obtain a zDNA? The same procedure as you got the aDNA, but what you are doing now, you are adding salt in the solution. Okay, when you increase the salt concentration up to an appropriate level, the bDNA that changes to zDNA. Okay, and what happens? The bDNA that was right-handed helix is now changing into a left-handed helix into form zDNA. zDNA has a diameter which is much less than bDNA, that is 18 Armstrongs. It has 12 base pairs per turn. There are more number of base pairs per turn with a pitch of 44 Armstrongs. See, the pitch has been increased from 34 Armstrongs to 44 Armstrongs. So you can see over this diagram that the pitch is much larger as compared to this and this. The pitch is much larger in the zDNA. The orientation is antiparallel left-handed helix. So now let us try to understand why does it takes a left-handed helix. Okay, so the one thing before that, let us try to understand why it is called as a zDNA, because it undergoes a zigzag configuration. Now, what is a zigzag configuration? As you can see, the sugar phosphate backbone in a normal bDNA is going in a smooth curved fashion. See, but in a zDNA, if one sugar is like this, the immediate sugar is somewhat like this. It is inverted, and because of this, there is a zigzag pattern that is formed in this zDNA. Okay, now in these two diagrams you can see that this nucleotide, the above nucleotide goes down. See, the above nucleotide, the nucleotide that was just above it has come down. This forms the Z configuration. Why is this taking place? It is because of event known as cis and anti positions of guanine. Okay, so now what happens is that there is two types of positions of these bases to the sugar. Okay, so as you can see that in this region the guanine can have a twist. It can twist in this region. Okay, so when the twist is away from the sugar molecule, then that position is known as anti-position of guanine. In most DNA, in bDNA, in aDNA, it is in anti-position. But in zDNA, what happens is that this region, it turns, and the guanine that was facing away from the sugar is now facing towards the sugar. Because of this, there is a change in geometry, and because of this change in geometry, you have a zigzag pattern, as you can see in the DNA chain, in the Z configuration of the double helix. Because of this, you can see a minor groove, but a major groove is hardly visible. Okay, so then occurrence of ZDNA. ZDNA is having certain role with the expression of genes, and but its exact role is yet to be elucidated. It is mostly found in interband regions of the polytene chromosome, and its exact role is to be determined. This is the summary of the three forms of DNA: A, B, and Z form. Okay, all the points are mentioned over here.